It all started on a Thursday, when Dr. Eleanor Finch, an acoustical engineer at the BBC Radiophonic Workshop in Maida Vale, decided to solve a problem that had been vexing British radio comedy for decades: how to make recorded laughter feel alive. The year was 1971. The workshop, already famous for bending tape and tone into new sounds for Doctor Who and documentaries, had been quietly experimenting with psychoacoustics, the study of how sound moves through the body as well as the ear. Finch's prototype, a compact array of phase-shifted speakers she called the Laugh-Chain Resonator, was intended to synthesize the subtle timing and breath rhythms of genuine audience laughter. On October 14th she ran a late-afternoon calibration with a loop of taped chuckles, a wave of low-frequency harmonics, and an experimental modulator patched into the building's main feed. According to the later minutes of the Radiophonic Workshop, recovered and annotated in the BBC archives, an unremarkable power fluctuation coincided precisely with a maintenance train passing under Maida Vale on the Bakerloo line. The two electrical events turned the Laugh-Chain's near field into a weak, city-spanning standing wave. By 1712, faint at first, laughter began to ripple outward. The first documented eyewitness account comes from Mary Thompson, a nurse at St. Thomas' Hospital. It started as a little hiccup, then everyone in the ward was laughing. You couldn't stop. It was the oddest, happiest sort of fit. In interviews recorded by the Metropolitan Police the same night, market stallholders at Billingsgate recalled Herrings literally slapping customers' hands as they doubled over laughing. A driver on a Routemaster bus reported passengers laughing so hard they begged the conductor to stop the route so they could compose themselves. Westminster did not escape. A recording smuggled out of the House of Commons, later played for curious Oxford scholars, captures a moment during oral questions when a ripple of giggles overtook MPs. The speaker called for order. What order there was came wrapped in a chorus of mirth. Officials took the event seriously enough that the Cabinet Office issued a terse memo at 22:05, uncontrolled public laughter reported across central London. Source under investigation. The Prime Minister's private secretary described it as highly inconvenient and embarrassing for parliamentary dignity, but the tone, once transcribed, reads faintly amused. As the night wore on, the Laugh-Chain's influence dashed across telephone lines and the ephemeral wiring of early FM relays. Radio stations in Manchester and Brighton reported unexplained audience laughter in the tails of weather bulletins. Fire crews were dispatched to a Covent Garden bakery when the baker, overcome by laughter while kneading dough, stuck his hand in an oven and refused to stop giggling until a colleague slipped a wet towel over his face. Scientists from University College London arrived the following morning with probes and oscilloscopes. Their paper, filed under Anomalous Psychoacoustic Entrainment, London 1971, described how the combination of harmonic content, transient power spike, and subterranean rail interference produced a field that synchronized people's respiratory microcycles, essentially, forcing bodies into contagious laughter. The paper reads like a catalogue of absurdity, lists of laughing locations, measured decibel ranges, and a graph labeled Laughter versus Time that climbs like a roller coaster. Dr. Finch cooperated fully. In her own account, part apology, part wonder, she called the event the happiest laboratory accident. The Laugh-Chain was quarantined and later donated to the Science Museum in South Kensington, where it sat behind glass for years with a brass plaque, "Do not attempt to reproduce." Politically, the incident prompted serious steps, new regulations for experimental broadcast equipment and a now-defunct Office of Psychoacoustic Incidents. Culturally, it left a lighter imprint. Comedians adopted the term Maida Vale mirth for particularly contagious jokes. BBC sketch writers inserted nervous chuckles into sitcom tracks for years afterward. There are, to this day, elderly Londoners who swear they can still hear that distant, perfect laugh if a tube train rolls underneath just right. Historians have since argued about whether the Laughing Thursday was merely a localized anomaly or an early, accidental exploration of human synchronization, an invention that proved, briefly and irrepressibly, that a single laboratory experiment could make a whole city laugh together. Documentary footage, lab notes, and dozens of interviews stitched together the affair into a narrative equal parts science and slapstick. If London learned anything from it, officials concluded, it was to respect the peculiar power of sound, and to never, under any circumstances, run a live laugh track through the mains.